I recently learned during the earthquake this month in San Diego that at the San Diego Safari Park, the elephants all gathered round the two elephant calves and created what's known as an alert circle, where all the adults go around the calves to protect them, put them in the middle, and they put themselves on the outside. And when I first heard the story, I immediately thought of the parents and guardians and allies that have been trying to circle themselves around transgender kiddos and how they too have tried to put themselves on the outside protecting those kiddos, fighting for their rights to have primary health care, gender affirming care, allowing those kids to play and have a childhood where they can play with their friends. If they want to play sports, they can play sports. That they get to have a youth and childhood without having to hear any of the hateful or disturbing comments made about who they are in the public's eye. Those adults that are trying to protect their education so that the kids can go to school as they are, who they are, and be able to focus on their education and not have to be worried about will they or won't they be able to be seen. They can focus on learning. But me being who I am, I think of all perspectives, and I quickly realized that those that oppose gender affirming care, that those that don't understand about the existence of transgender children also feel like they are those adult elephants circling the kids. I listen and I consider what people are saying, and they too feel like they are protecting children as they try to get rid of gender affirming care. They too feel like they are protecting the young and circling around them. And so this thought made me sad because I thought, well, how do we make any progress? If everyone thinks that they are protecting the young and they're in that survival mode, it's really hard to communicate, to think, to discuss, to understand on either side what is your concern if you're in survival mode. If you believe that you are the one protecting, if the focus is to protect the kids, how do we do that? How do we keep them safe? How do we take care of them so they can grow and develop to be healthy, strong adults that will one day help to take care and protect others as well? I don't have an answer right now as far as how do we make progress between those two groups that both think they are the right ones to protect the kids. But thinking of those elephants, I do think there is a test. So that story of the elephants made me curious about what are the characteristics of elephants and how they take care of their young. So some of the things I learned makes it a great test to be like, are you analogous to the adult elephants standing in that circle, putting the young in the center to protect them? So the first thing is adult elephants create a deep bond with the young. They demonstrate gentleness and reassuring behavior towards the young. It means that they get to know the young. Now, the group that are the parents and guardians and allies, they get to know the young. I've worked with hundreds of them. They know they're young. Many of them at the beginning resist the idea that their kids are transgender. Not all parents and guardians resist it, but many do. And they come around, they get to know, they listen, they learn, they get to know. They come to a gentleness, they reassure. Those that are denying gender affirming care, a really common theme is I don't hear them get to know. I don't hear them get to know closely kids that are transgender. They may hear a story of, they may read a story of, but to actually spend time and get to know, I mean, that requires trust, especially now more than ever. It's going to be hard for anyone to open up to somebody else without being able to demonstrate some level of trust. But many people that I hear speaking out don't know anybody, don't know anybody well. That is one question to ask yourself. Are you the elephant standing on the outside protecting? How well do you know? Are you gentle? Are you reassuring? Are you creating a deep bond to understand the child, the youth that you are protecting? The second thing that elephants do is they stay close to the calf. They provide constant care, they protect as a group. So, what are you doing to provide constant care and to protect? Parents, guardians, allies, they're providing constant care. Beyond fighting for gender affirming care, for the kids having civil rights to be able to live their lives, have the same opportunities as other kids to be able to go to school and play sports and have their health care. They're also taking care of the kid. They're also standing with them and taking care of them. Even when things aren't going well, they're not leaving, they're not walking away. They take care of them. Those that oppose gender affirming care, beyond that, understanding that opposing it is how they feel like they're protecting the kids. When that's done, then what? What are you doing to stay close, to provide constant care? I hear plans like provide therapy, but what are you doing to provide constant care? To make sure that the child is well taken care of. That I don't hear. The third test, there's 5. The third thing that elephants do that I think is a good litmus test for are you the analogous elephant protecting the kids on the inside, is that elephants will adjust their pace of the herd to allow the calf to keep up with them. Instead of telling the calf, keep up with us, they adjust their pace to the calf. That means instead of expecting the child to be who we as the adults want them to be, to keep up with us and our expectations, allowing them to have a voice, to allow them to be who they are. How do you allow them to set the pace? Now, obviously, if you don't believe in gender affirming care, if you don't believe a child can be transgender, then of course may not be the example of the pace you are setting. But if that's not what you believe in, then how are you allowing the child to set the pace? How are you helping them navigate through? Because oftentimes I often hear is a push, a push, a push that this is who you should be, this is who you should be now, this is how you should feel, this you should be happy with this. So ask yourself, how are you adjusting your pace, adjusting your expectations to allow the child to keep up with the journey they're on, with where you're help guiding them to? Because this life is a journey and we are just helping them along. Are you adjusting your pace to them, or are you just expecting them to keep up with you? The fourth one is that elephants protect the young from predators and threats. Now, I think both sides feel that they are doing that, protecting from predators and threats. The parents and the allies and the guardians are doing their best to protect their youth, their innocence, letting the kids be themselves and have a childhood, having health care, being allowed to do the things that they enjoy. Those that are opposing gender affirming care, that don't believe children should be allowed to transition, are protecting them from those things that they think are harmful. And at the same time, I would offer that they are creating threats, and many of them in the way they discuss transgender individuals with such horrific language, such ugly language that if you care and you love and you have the deep bond, you don't speak about a child as if they are monsters. It actually increases bullying. It actually gives permission and has been shown as we see an increase in violence, physical and emotional and verbal abuse towards not just transgender kids, but anyone who is gender nonconforming, creating an ideal of what's the right way to be a girl and the right way to be a boy, protecting from predators and threats as best as you can, because let's be honest, there are limits to what we as adults can do, but protecting them is not setting them up for more. You don't name call those that you love and care about. You don't call them horrific names. That is not protecting them. Using language that increases the violence against them, that is not protecting them. If you truly desire to protect kids, you do more to prevent harm. It should be reflected in the language and the way that you speak of them, that care, that deep bond, that reassurance. So that's another one. The fifth and final one that elephants do is when a calf is in distress, they offer comfort and assistance. When a child is in distress, how are you offering comfort and assistance? The parents and guardians and allies are right there with their kids. Regardless of the rulings, regardless of the legislation, whether they win or lose the fight, they are right by their side. When their child's in distress, they do whatever they can to help them, to help find support. They don't walk away. That's part of the bond, that's part of the caring. But what do you do? For those that oppose gender affirming care, those that think children can't transition, okay. But what are you doing to comfort them when they're in distress? What is your solution? One thing I've learned helping a lot of families is, as I mentioned, there are many families that resist. And they try the pushing away of the kids to try to get them to not be transgender. And of course, that doesn't work because they just are. It's not a choice. They push away to try to get them not to transition because they're afraid. That typically doesn't work. Or if it works, it doesn't work for long. Or if it works, they find that they have a very unhappy child. And no, it's not manipulative. Sometimes I've even had stories where the kids are like, I understand. I understand parents. I won't do it. But those that live and care for that child, they see how unhappy they are. Some parents then get angry because they're uncomfortable. I want to be uncomfortable. They want them to accept what they're assigned at birth, and they want them to be happy about it. Eventually, parents either kick the kid out, child runs away, or parent comes around to realizing that this is who the child is. There's nothing they can say and do. Even if the child goes along with their wishes willingly, they see the truth. And in the end, they're that elephant on the outside. They want to protect. They respond to distress. They adjust their pace. And they want to stay close and create that deep bond. So I know I have listeners that listen that don't agree with me, and that's okay. I know that you believe you're one of the elephants on the outside, protecting the young. But I just gave you my litmus test. And for those that say those are elephants, not humans, I'm aware it's called an analogy. And that's my analogy. Are you creating a bond? Do you actually know transgender kids? Have you gotten to know, like truly know, not just, I know this kid down the street, actually spoken and gotten to know them? Have you had a chance to stay close, provide care, protect? Are you willing to adjust your pace, protect them, not create more harm and threat? And are you willing to respond to distress? Because protection, how you perform it, how you carry it through, it is what allows the young calf, or in this case, the child, to become the flourishing adult. That protection matters.